Folks, U.S. Department of Defense facing backlash after the grossly unqualified Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth invited a racist white Christian nationalist who calls himself a paleo Confederate to lead a prayer at the Pentagon. The pastor is Doug Wilson, who has said some of the most grossly despicable things regarding slavery. Last year, when opening a church in Washington, Wilson told CNN it was part of his plan to make the United States a Christian nation. He's described his politics as slightly to the right of Confederate General J.E.B. Stuart. It says immigrants are entering the country in a parasitic way. Do y'all have some of this little prayer? Go ahead and play it. Pull it up.
I didn't hear a word.
Come on, pull the audio up.
We just came screaming in. I'm sure it was fantastic. We were held up at the White House for meetings, as you can imagine. I won't try to add to it. I just want to, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership, for your mentorship, for the things you've started, the truth you've told, your willingness to be bold. It's the type of thing that we're trying to exercise here, too, with the monthly worship service, is to pause and recognize who is at the wheel, who is sovereign in all of these things, the scale and scope of which we can't possibly imagine sometimes, and outcomes we cannot foresee. But there is no plan B, only God's plan of plan A. And I'll just tell a brief story. I was undertaking a mission of writing a book called Battle for the American Mind. It was about K through 12 education, and working with a man named David Goodwin, who's the president of the Association of Classical Christian Schools, an association that was started by Pastor Doug Wilson, and where many of our kids go to school. And we were working on a project, and I was just a Fox News guy at that point, and David thought it prudent to, because it would touch on so much of what ACCS does, talk to Doug about it and say, hey, are you comfortable with this partnership? And because there's plenty of things that people will say about you in every phase of your life. And I'll never forget when David came back, and we'd never met, we'd never spoken at that point. And he just said, Doug asked a more or less.
Okay, I can't listen to any more bullshit. Okay, so Pete Hegseth, oh my God, how amazing he is. Really? So there's a website called DougWilsonSays.com. That's actually tracked the racist, misogynistic, sexist things this man has said. Doug Wilson says the Christians who owned slaves in the South were on firm scriptural ground. Okay? This is a quote from Doug Wilson. The radical abolitionists, now mind you, the radical abolitionists maintained that slave owning was inherently immoral under any circumstance. But in this matter, the Christians who owned slaves in the South were on firm scriptural ground. May a Christian own slaves even when this makes him a part of a larger pagan system which is not fully scriptural or perhaps not scriptural at all. Provided he owns them in conformity to Christ's laws governing such situations, the Bible is clear that under such conditions, Christians may own slaves. He also said, on the slavery issue, the drums of war were being beaten by the abolitionists, who were in turn driven by a zealous hatred of the word. To the extent that slavery was an issue, the radical abolitionists were in conflict with the teaching of the New Testament. Oh, this one here. When the Confederate States of America surrendered at Appomattox, the last nation of the older order fell. So because historians like to have set dates on which to hang their hats, we may say the first Christendom died there in 1865. The American South was the last nation of the first Christendom. That is, y'all, Doug Wilson. But we shouldn't be shocked because it's Pete Hegseth who wanted to return and did the Confederate symbols, arguing that, oh, it was woke, it was woke. Remember them taking down the data from the websites regarding Medgar Evers at Arlington National Cemetery and Jackie Robinson and others, removing information when it came to women in the military and blacks in the military. Oh, let's talk about restoring the portrait of Robert E. Lee, that white domestic terrorist, to West Point. This is who Donald Trump is. And see, what you have is, you have an administration that embraces racist, embraces white nationalists. They can openly serve